Welcome to Water Wizards, where we get inspired by the movers and shakers of the world, those catalyzing change just like water. Let's come into this space, come into the now moment. If you have your water, get your water. If you don't have your water, go get some water. And so before we go in, I want to set the intention with everyone that this is a full-on activation. It always is a living transmission. We all are here to activate one another for the highest and greatest good always. That all of the codes that we transmit with the highest love and the purest of intentions move into our water throughout this activation, that we may consume them and let them move through every cell of our body to activate us fully into mission and to help us seed heaven on earth here. So welcome. I feel the energies moving in. Everyone take a deep breath. We are here with the amazing rising Phoenix Aurora. I found her on YouTube. She's also on Rumble, and most of her content is on Rumble because she goes very deep into some magic and deep state issues. So I would encourage you to find her on Rumble. I'll post all of the links after this live so you have access to her. But I found her on YouTube about a year ago. And as I was diving into her work, I felt a full-on activation with what she was empowering me in. So what her work involves is she's an author. We'll share her book with you as well. She is a channel. She is a galactic warrior is what I like to call her. She has so many titles. I can't even go into all of them, but we're going to dive into her energy, dive into her story, and bring you all some magic. So, Aurora, welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you. How's my sound? Is good?
Perfect. Your sound is perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for such a beautiful introduction. And I feel so blessed that you found me a year ago. And thank you for having me on your show. I checked out your content as well. And then you got a good amount of following on TikTok. Look at you everywhere. So beautiful.
Oh, thank you so
I'm loving
much.
being here.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, what I love the most about doing this podcast is the magic of making connections and really learning not to put people on pedestals. You know, that we see people that we really admire, and we get to see our own reflection within them. And so I am so inspired by you. You have been a very big part of my journey. And so as I am reaching out to those who have activated me on so many levels and engaging with them in a very close kind of personal setting to really help activate the world, I think it is shifting so much for the collective that we have access to one another. Right? Like this old paradigm of those who inspire us being out of reach, that was all an illusion. And we get to be an active part of that crumbling. And so the work that you do is so foundational and monumental and really supporting us to shift into this new earth and a new way of being. So I'll tell you a little bit about Aurora, and then we're going to go into her story and ask her some questions and just see where divine takes us in this interview. What I love most about Aurora's work is that she really goes deep into some of the big hidden issues that need to be exposed, that we need to be aware of, but she does it in a way that allows us to hold a high vibration around it, to see the bigger picture. And she also gives us the tools to work through that density so that we can hold the light through the knowledge, right? Because we don't want to stay in the dark, but we also don't want to drown in this knowledge. And so I want to start out by just asking you a little bit about, what is your mission? What is your mission, Aurora? How would you explain? I know it's big and that's a big question, but what comes through when I ask you that question?
Good. I'm loving all the water you have going on. Yes, the water brings in the channel and brings in the divine source of light that we need to run through us to speak. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Yes. What is my mission? My main mission is to summarize it, to remove the parasites from within Earth so we can ascend them, to but not removing them in a in a negative way where you're like exercising demons and so on, but removing them with the choice of love. So everything I do is surrounded by infinite source of light, so giving them the choice, bringing that source of light to the space so that they can remember themselves. And that is my goal throughout creation, and specifically Earth, to help people shift into a higher vibration, to activate to their hearts, and to start walking and breathing more of their heart space versus all the distractions and the negativity, so that we're able to see and sense clearly our path and stay in our organic timelines and shift into them if we're not there yet. So it's all basically about ascension and removing what's infringing on Divine Mother, Mother Earth, and how to assist everyone to do that. So yeah, I have over 700 videos under my YouTube, my Odyssey account. And just like you said, Rumble and Odyssey and Spotify is actually where you find all my sensitive content, because we talk about it all. Yes, thank you.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for summarizing that for us. And then the next thing I would love to talk about is, when did you have the awareness of your mission on Earth? Were you very young? What was that? So many of us have this core experience that we move through that really opens us up. And I know I had mine, but I was in my 30s when it happened for me. When did this happen for you?
So the minute I was born, I could feel I was very consciously aware. And I actually did a video with Laura Eisenhower, the great granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, whistleblower, and Marissa Coachella. You guys can check it out. I feel like I covered that really nicely there, where I had telekinesis. So let me see if I can change this around for you all. I could sense and feel people's emotions, thoughts. I didn't realize what was actually happening because, the majority of us are born into families who are not awakened. And how do you balance this out and realize that there's nothing wrong with you and you're not crazy, or you're, this is not make-believe. So it's the whole version of that, of going through every year and waking up and feeling lighter and lighter and changing. But just like everyone else, my abilities were shut down just for my protection. And then later on, just like you, actually in my late 20s, early 30s is when I started waking up, became a Soy Reiki master. And that completely woke me up to the spiritual world, a world that, that I had forgotten of. I didn't even realize was there, because for the most, my spiritual team kept me really away from all of the spiritual communities, everything, until that moment in time. But that inner knowing that we know, like we get those messages, we meet someone and the angels give us messages over to them. People meet you and they start crying, and they're apologizing because they don't know why they're crying, because truly they're in a presence of love, and then they're letting go of their traumas, their pains, and they're finally releasing, and that's really what I embody for others, is as holding the most beautiful love for them, like no one has ever been able to hold that for them. And when people achieve this level, it's the self-healing for themselves is just transformational. As the past life regressionist that I am, the channel, the author to this is our new book 2, The Final Battle of Galactic History of the Multiverse, book 2. So it's about communicating and all this sacred teachings. But even looking back on my childhood, I remember some of these. They were like visions, and till I then woke up in my early 30s. Then I started realizing, oh wait, they're not just like make-believe, they're real visions. And then my dreams were so vivid, and they started to become my messages from my higher self, because I was, too scared to even sit and meditate. Just, I'm sure many people go through that, and all the programming, the shedding is quite a journey. But once I began and I woke up, and the way I woke up through that journey was my beautiful husband. I ran into Dolores, and she was absolutely just pivotal in that awakening for me. And I did a practice session on my husband, And when I did that, Dolores actually spoke through him, and I had just found her maybe a month ago, and she told me that I was to go on my mission, develop my own past life regression, and she told me that so many beautiful things, but very limited on what they tell you, especially because they were just waking me up in that moment in time and space when I was doing that past life regression on my husband. Also, the Raw Collective, which I didn't know who they were then, spoke to my husband and gave me messages. They said that I had a grand mission to develop past life regression or hypnosis entity removal, and that I was to assist the collective. And since then, I've worked with over 4,000 people total between courses, certifications, retreats, and workshops that I host. And I'm almost at my 600th session alone in past life regression, which take 4 to 5 hours each. So that's a good process. And the journey's just been amazing. But yeah, I feel like I talked a lot. So go ahead.
Oh, I love it. That was perfect.
Okay.
So tell us about how did you really step into bringing your mission to the collective? You know, you said you started as a Reiki master. That was really the beginning of you tapping into your gifts and sharing them with the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And now you amaze me at the amount of videos, the amount of energy that divine energy that you access to do all that you do, because
Yes.
you are doing it. This space, I really like to encourage people to take that step. You know, for me, it was scary. I was an RN, COVID hit, and I was really forced to leave. There was no other option. It was getting louder and louder, that kick in the shin. And so it can be very scary to step into your mission because lots of things need to shift in your life to do so. I'm curious about, once you started doing the Reiki and maybe being a practitioner for others, did you have fears? What fears did you have to move through? Did you have to rearrange your life in order to step into mission? What can you share around that?
Yes. And I saw your video, by the way. You were bad A with the RN, and like they were trying to, you were like standing up against them. That was pretty phenomenal.
That was divine power flowing through me for sure. Thank you very much.
Wow, yeah.
So
That's
glad that
awesome.
I was so fearless. I look back and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah,
that was me.
that was you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I just wanted to point that out because I just look, I'm so thankful for those who stood up and said no, and yeah, stood up for their sovereignty and their soul. Like, no, you can't inject that
Yeah.
into me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So phenomenal. Now going into, from the Reiki, I didn't practice yet on anyone. I was just really practicing on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the minute I became aware of the spiritual, the spirituality, the beings, spirit, angels started coming to me. And first time was definitely gigantic, was dream time. But then I started then getting visions as well. It was amazing. Definitely Archangel Michael was huge to that. Archangel Michael, how he came. I remember one of the very first visions, he was there. And I was trying to meditate, and I was so scared because you meditate, you turn off the light, and you're sitting there, and I had a candle lit, and the wick had gone down, and you know how it goes down to the blue right before it's going to turned off. You turned off. Can you believe that he remained it blue for about an hour with just that blue part, never going off? Okay. And then he comes into my space, and he's gigantic, fills up my whole entire pretty much home. And he's explaining how important it is that I connect to the angels and how they've been falsely accused and falsely by the people, the archon, artificial intelligence that we talk about, that been mind controlling people and telling them that they're negative, but they're actually the most purest source of light beings. They're the first essences of creator. And from there, just visions like that, messages like that, and dreams. But a lot of that, when you wake up, they don't teach you, like Usui Reiki didn't teach you to shield and to not consent, to put boundaries up against dark entities. And we're in a third dimensional earth where there's entities everywhere. There's entities, some people have them attached, there's entities in the land, there's pain and trauma with all the wars and all the diabolical plans of the New World Order, and everything that we talk about through the Antarctica series, looking beyond the walls of Antarctica and the Tartarian civilization. So all of these are rising up, and just looking around. First of all, I needed to work on healing the land and within the space that it was at, and even assisting my source of light was assisting the neighbors around me so that they could release their demon witch entities coming out of their ground in the backyards. Like another neighbor had like thousands of snakes coming out of that space of their land, and dark snakes, that is, because snakes are positive. It's just that they use them invertedly in black magic rituals. And yeah, that whole awakening, and that's what started teaching me like, okay, the world of say ghosts or entities really does exist. But I was always still, even before say I officially woke up, even though I considered myself really awake all my life, but I would always watch those those ghost shows and all those ancient shows. And so then by the time I got here, I mean, I understood that obviously there's paranormal, there's aliens, and that's just ludicrous not to believe that. Yeah, and I continued on till then. I became certified through Dolores's modality, and then from there, there was people who were coming to me that was doing sessions in that modality. But what happened is that they had entities in them, and they were coming to me because they had gone to other places, whether it was psych wards or therapists, and they had tried to drug them, or they literally just came out of psych wards, being drugged up. Or that's just one spectrum. But then I also had just regular people, where they felt like something was off in them and they couldn't quite understand. And I remember one of the very first sessions that I had, she was adorable, cute little blonde hair Russian lady. She had come to my home to do the session, and we were there for hours. And back then it wasn't Aura hypnosis wasn't developed as we are now, where we're so fast and efficient now. But I remember her saying in her interview, she's in tears, but it's like these empty tears. She says, Aurora, she says, I don't know what's wrong with me. All my life, I've never felt love. And she said she was with her husband over 30 years, does not feel love for him, does not know what love is, even her parents, her siblings. And she says she feels empty inside. And I said, okay, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get to the root of figuring out why you feel like this. And then sure enough, when she goes into the past life regression, what happens is that there's like these reptilian entities. I'm going to plug up, and I hope my sound doesn't go out. Okay. Am I good? My sound is still good?
I can hear the feedback now.
Okay. I'm just gonna have to keep playing with it. How is that? Still bad. Okay, let me unplug it. Plug it. Okay, are we better? Hopefully. Now? Yeah.
There's a little bit, but it's not distracting.
Yes, I apologize. My mic piece broke today, and I'm working with what I have. So is it good? Okay. Yeah. So she's in the past life regression, and she says, Aurora, there's these hooded people, and her higher self was saying, Aurora, help her with your Reiki. And back then that was like, that's not normal. We don't help people with Reiki. You just do a passive regression. They connect if they connect. If they don't connect, oh well, they can't connect, right? So, but their very first sessions, their higher selves would literally speak to the client and say, Aurora, you need to help them with your love to help them push through. They are stuck. You need to help them. So I start channeling Reiki over to her, and I start helping her with my love. And then she starts seeing this space, and she says it's white room, but it's really stale, like white false light kind of. And she says there's these hooded people, and they're all sitting at desks, and they're busy like doing like office work. And I said, okay, well, let's figure out who these people are. And she goes, and then I start channeling my love, and they said they're freaking out because of the love. They start all scattering and running. And I said, this is weird. Why is this happening? And then she goes, and I told her, go ahead and see if, because this was supposed to be a space supposedly where her higher self was at. So she says there's this hooded figure that claims that they're my higher self. And I said, well, let's look beyond the hood and see what they really are. And she says, it's a reptilian man, and he's pretending to be my higher self. And well, then of course, that's not really her higher self. It's an attachment. And, they had the tail and everything, so what we had to do through that session is figure out how was this integrated. And it basically was integrated into her DNA, this reptilian. You hear sometimes about the reptilian brain and, some of the things that they give the children when, they're born, and I know we have to be censored here. So, and how these are basically reptilian viruses. And then, so what I did was that I continued with my love. I kept holding the space and helping her till we got to the higher self, because she was also very blocked to her higher self. And once we got to the higher self, then the higher self was able to confirm that all the attachments that I talk about. And then they started to, through the quantum realm, the quantum world, removing this alien attachment to her DNA, and her essence really wasn't part of her. So me as a healer, I could have chosen to run and stop the session, right? It was like freak out, but no, I said no. I told myself, growing up, I had people who were not too nice to me, and I was bullied a lot. So I told myself that made me very compassionate and loving for others. So I told myself that no matter who would come to me, if they were ready, because they have to be ready to heal, but if they were ready to heal, that I would assist them in infinite ways to hold the space for them to heal. So that's what I did for her. And yeah, they removed the reptilian. She woke up and she was lighter and happier and just a completely different person, light in her eyes, just the most beautiful love. And that's how it is every time there's an aura regression the person comes to, so long as they're ready, again, because what I always teach is I'm no one's guru, and I'm no one's, a savior. You are here to save yourself. But I am going to hold the most infinite source of light, so you can do that for yourself, so you can reach that space. Yeah.
Wow. That is profound. Okay. So that's a great segue into, being a sovereign being. How do we stay out of that fear space around everything? It's like I feel like there's this balance between staying aware of what's going on and not being buried by it. So I am very, very committed to my practices every day, staying intentionally connected to Mother Earth and Source, meditation, doing the breath work, really opening myself up to the light. What advice can you give around holding our sovereignty and not going into fear as everything is shaken up? Like, I think of it as a jar. Right? It's like there's so many loose energies right now because so much is purging. And it's like, now is the time to really claim your sovereignty and hold that light.
Yes. Wow. So sovereignty is it begins with self-love. What have you discovered of who you are? And even if you don't remember past lives and who you've been, but remembering that at the ultimate highest, you are source of light, and you are embodied on earth because you are meant to be this individualized soul of source. You're meant to enjoy life, vacation, explore nature, hug your children, kiss your beloved spouse, and you're meant to enjoy this. So once you figure out how to love life and how to enjoy life, it becomes easier to understand who you are. Then the self-love starts beginning. And once your self-love begins, then the sovereignty begins. Because when you begin to love yourself and to learn how to protect yourself, then the sovereignty begins. We're like, wait a minute, I've done a lot of work, I've healed myself, I've released a lot of trauma. Now it's time for me to come into the beingness that I am I am all elements, the fire, the water, the wind, the spirit within me, and how to embody these elements inside of you. And a lot of that sovereignty does begin with the fire, the element of fire, but it also could be water as well, which is so cleansing, but also very powerful, that moves lands, right? So, but having a balance of self-love, the elements of nature within you, the water, the healing, and then from there, really caring about yourself, that you don't allow others to overstep your boundaries,
Yes.
to infringe upon you, to parasitically drain your energy. And sovereignty becomes at that point, because you're saying no, and you're not allowing, whether it's someone in the physical or someone in, an alien in a UFO ship that's trying to infringe upon you, or military or so on. So so it's caring about yourself enough that you will not allow anyone to harm you anymore in any way, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And how do we get out of fear, right? That is a tricky emotion, because the whole world has been programmed to be in fear, and to fear like the future, to fear a minute from now what's about to happen, to fear war, to fear all these divides. See, but the goal is that even if we fear, and just like you said, the breath work, taking those breaths and going into your heart and dropping your energy to your heart and feeling the love instead. See, after, I'm going to actually have a video tomorrow talk about the eclipse, but after this most powerful eclipse that just happened when my book was released, yay! We could feel the shift of fear. It feels like almost like some of those like diabolical plans of what was going on in Israel are just almost so far away from us. Where before that, we were in fear and thinking that perhaps they're going to try to cause a war here, but now they seem so far if you're tapping into that high vibration of love, light. But you have to tap into that, because otherwise, when you're feared, then you're tapping into the inverted matrix, the simulation that we talk about through all our teachings. You're tapping into that. And within that lower third dimensional, they're trying to use your energy to siphon and make their inverted timelines. But we have to hold that space where, like, okay, we understand that inverted is there, but you know what? I am source of light, and I am infinite being that is immense, and you cannot infringe, you cannot affect me in any form, and I won't allow you to make me go into fear and then drain on my energy, because that's what the entities want. These dark aliens, the Archon, they want to get you in fear, because at that point you're easier to your light to be drained upon, and that's what it needs to keep itself going, because it has no light. It's an absence of light.
What you say around self-love resonates very deeply with me. And, when we talk about self-love, what's coming through is a reminder that, you love yourself in being aware of what you are consuming. What type of foods are you eating? What sort of content are you consuming? Are you loving yourself enough to take the time to do the practices that allow your frequency to raise, your vibration to raise? And what I found is that as I really became very committed and stopped making excuses to serve others at the expense of myself, that it has become more natural for me to stay in a state of belief and freedom, sovereignty, joy, empowerment. And, we're all human, and we're all bumping up against each other, and the fear can come back in at times. But you have an expanded perspective that you've accessed because of the self-love. Like, it really can be that simple. That self-love that you access through yourself, your own heart. And then what I noticed in my physical life that was a little confusing, but I have clarity around it now, is that there were certain people in my life, as I started to really love myself, that would get really loud. try to create drama, right? Because as you are purging, as you're shifting your inward state, the outward appearance of all of your inward state that's reflected back to you, it's got to shift. So there are things that have to purge. So it can get a little loud. So know that if right now you're experiencing a little bit of strife or maybe a lot of trauma and grief in your life, that the field is rearranging. And it is another opportunity for us to tap into our sovereignty and really take that expanded perspective and observe, not absorb. Right?
Exactly. Yes. Beautiful. You explained it beautifully.
I love that. Thank you so much. Wow. Your work is so deep and profound. I really would encourage everyone to seek out Rising Phoenix Aurora, because the technique that you use, the aura technique, correct? What does that stand for? Will you remind me what that stands for?
So Aura, AURA, stands for Angelic Universal Regression Alchemy.
Beautiful. And this is really your unique soul's expression of the QHHT, right? So you learned that initial blueprint, and then what was uniquely divine moving through you, it's your own expression of that, right?
Well,
In a way?
The QHHT has no relationship to Aura whatsoever.
Okay.
We
Okay.
actually are a lot different. I mean, completely different. Like, because they don't.
My bad.
That's okay. Yeah, they don't practice like entity removal, or I don't even know if they even believe in entities.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, so Aura is completely unique, and our teachings just are just vast. I mean, it's like almost a book worth of pages, about 55 pages worth of teachings, just so you could understand how to do all that we do. But it's very beautiful. Something I'm known for is that I could take these bigger concepts and really make them, condense them down, but still they're still infinite and vast, so that you can understand what the communications are and the teachings, so anyone could retain them and understand them. So Aura hypnosis is an embodiment all on their own. I did do QHHT sessions, but like I said, I couldn't do them because people had entities and I couldn't get them to connect.
I see. So it turned into something completely different.
So I just did my own thing, basically.
That's amazing. So my point was that you can actually go and access recordings of these amazing transformations. The whole process is recorded and it's really magical. You go search one of those out and there's always a message for you, right? Like, we are manifesting everything. You've manifested these words through us. It's such a profound, deep experience that you get to walk through with Aurora and the client. It's unlike anything that I have ever tapped into. So very, very cool, very magical.
Yes, these past life regressions are quite immense. Just like Monica said, the higher self speak, and because higher self, they're all one, right, with source. These messages feel like they are being delivered over to us. I think I have almost 200 of them posted under YouTube, and some of the more sensitive ones on the Rumble and Odyssey. So yeah, go check them out. It's amazing, especially the attachments that people have and how deep. I've had people who heal from anything you can think of, because what's going on is that you could do regular past life regression work, but if you don't get to the root and the entities or whatever's the cork that's there, you're never going to heal. So the key is the consciousness. The consciousness is where we connect to the universe or even the multiverse, which that's what the book is about, the multiverse. And once you reach these levels in combination in the quantum realm of the theta, you can heal anything. I've had people heal from blindness within 1 week, heal from blindness, not being able to walk, any type of disease, illness that you can think of, cancer, Epstein-Barr virus, epilepsy. They're healing themselves. It's because you could get as many readings as you want through another person giving you a reading or telling you, that's supposedly doing a healing on you. But it's not until you do this for yourself that you really get the answers. And that's really what you're doing when you go into the past life regression. You're getting your own answers, and you're speaking to your higher self, who has this infinite potential to self-heal you and to release every trauma that's within you, that's held not just within this life but past lives as well. It's just infinite.
And we can access those sessions on your website, correct?
Yes, under all my channels on my YouTube, TikTok, you name it.
Perfect.
Rumble, website risingphoenixaurora.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. Perfect. So I would like to share with you my experience earlier. I found one of your meditations, and what I love to do before I have a guest on is I will take a small container of water, and I will hold the water and set the intention that your frequency or our co-creation of a frequency move into the water as I partake in a gift that you're offering. So as I was doing a meditation earlier today, I felt the profound presence of Mary Magdalene. So, and I'm in red. This is why I wore red today. So what happened for me, yes, I noticed your lips. I love it. So what I noticed is, as I was doing the meditation, I went super, super deep. And when I went deep, I found myself sitting on my bed with a machete. So this is interesting. And it's totally aligned with like what you're doing as this comes through. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. So I have this machete and I'm holding it. And I remember having this awareness of I need protection. And it wasn't fearful, but I was holding the machete and thinking, I need protection. And then I felt something outside of myself moving my arm and trying to point the machete back at me. And I got to about here, didn't quite point all the way back at me. And boom, I saw Mary Magdalene's face, just clear as can be, beautiful, angelic face. And I knew it was Mary Magdalene. That came through immediately. And I heard something to the effect of, no weapon forged against thee. Mm-hmm. And the feeling in my arm, that tension in my arm where something felt like it was moving my arm, went away immediately. I was like, okay, this powerful. Is very powerful. And I was like, all right, and I really have released the need to know, like the why around this. And these are the type of experiences I have with your meditations and with engaging with your energy. It's very powerful and very moving and has really shifted me on many levels. So thank you. But I wanted to share that with you because I thought it was really, really interesting.
That's very interesting because the whole week I've been having readings and lots of Mary Magdalene fractals. And I've been feeling Mary Magdalene all day. Yes. So yeah, I think she's with you. Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. I have chills. And so the water I was telling you about, I'm going to grab the water. So what I do is I take the water in a little Petri dish and then I stick it in the freezer and see what crystals form.
Ooh.
Very cool. And so again, when I looked at the crystals, I was like, oh my gosh, something else came through. So let me grab it and I'll show you. This is my favorite part.
Okay, good.
Okay. This is always so fun. Okay, let me just kind of wipe the bottom off so it's nice and clear. All right, I'm going to get my phone. I'm going to shine the light behind it. We'll see how well this comes through. Do you see the lines? Can you see the lines? Can you make out the lines a little bit? If you look, there are actually, for me, because I can see it a little better in person, there are 4 pillars. I'll take a picture of this and send it to you. And what came through is the most recent video that you did was about Archangel 4.
Yes, Divine Father.
Yes. It's the first, I was like, oh my God, this is the first thing I saw was 4 pillars. So,
Yes, the number 4 has been so pivotal right now. I've been talking to people who listen to that channeling, and maybe they were like kind of like a little like demotivated, and for like a couple months people are feeling tired because they're doing so much, right? I see the 4 pillars. Beautiful.
isn't that
Wow.
cool?
Uh-huh. Wow, that's amazing.
Oh, so cool.
Reminds me of the Akashic, because we go through pillars of golden light to enter into the Akashic records, right? And
Oh, I
he's
love
one of the
that.
guardians of that for us. He guards our Akashic, protecting us as he is the father of creation. Which is also Archangel Michael, right? And phenomenal. Yeah, so oh yes, people have been feeling, tired, because like a lot of the energy that's going through Earth, it makes you feel exhausted. You're constantly doing so much work. You're taking lots of naps, and sometimes you feel like, oh, am I going to be able to evolve, or am I going to be able to
Hmm.
lift high vibration enough today, And they just watched that video, and instantly they shifted out into, they're like, oh, okay, I'm going now. I know what I'm gonna do. I know my mission. And it's just like so beautiful. These beings that channel through me, they're just amazing. Every single one of them leaves you activated, like you've been talking about. And I'm just so thankful as the messenger of them, to allow for them to give these messages over to the collective, completely in service to others.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I want to touch on what you just said about being tired. Like, why am I, so much is shifting so rapidly right now for us? And I find myself in this space that I know so many others are experiencing as well. For instance, my kids are on vacation right now. And I'm not used to being, I've got 3 kids. It's usually me and them running around, doing fun things, but also doing what we need to do throughout the day. And so I have found this pull all week that I've had to be very, very aware of to not do so much. I have to keep reminding myself that what appears to have power has none, and what appears to not have power has the power. And so as I'm being intentional about maintaining my practices and not trying to clean out drawers and cabinets and stuff, because the kids are gone and because I feel like I have to do those things, being very intentional about staying within that space of meditation and taking aligned action, because that's more powerful than running around in circles, and watching my world rearrange as I do the work that's necessary in the quantum to support myself and the collective. So I'm curious, with all that you do, how do you maintain that balance?
I slow down time. I do not live by time. So what I do
Beautiful.
is I'll set alarms, obviously, because I do have sessions that I can't be late to. And then, but I completely forget about time. And I go into this like breath work that's just like, okay, slowing down time, slowing down time, slowing down time now. And then I flow and I move and I reply to my emails and I write a book and all that I do. And plus I'm a mother and my beautiful husband, so tending to my family as well, and all of that. So I could fit in an average of 4 days to one person's one day by slowing down time. But I also we teach all the courses. We teach the Aura Hypnosis, we teach Raw Reiki, we teach Isis Priestess course, and Quantum Galactic Akashic reading, which I teach both the Isis and the Akashic live under Patreon, which actually starts next month. And through, especially, through all of these, we teach you how to use sacred alchemy that Divine Mother Sophia and the Phoenix, the daughter of the flame, gave over to me. So these sacred teachings are so much love, like they embody you with so much love that it feels so good. And then when you're embodied by these force fields that you're putting around you, the sacred alchemy symbols, then you start lifting beautifully to source of love light. And then when you do that, then you're able to easily look
Yeah.
through the illusion of time and slow down that time And I do so many different things. Like I work with toroidal spheres. The toroidal sphere is just a donut. I pull in energy constantly from like Tartaria. We talk about Tartaria. I've mastered how to pull in the energy from the ether, so I'm constantly charged up. But it doesn't mean that we be fully charged up every day. Sometimes we'll have our days where we're exhausted, and don't, make sure you listen to your body and let your body rest, because that means that maybe you're sleeping. Really, the reason when you're sleeping is that you're actually astral traveling out of the body. You're doing something on earth. Maybe you're working collectively. Maybe you're stopping something ridiculous like a war about to happen, or something like collective of souls on earth join together, and they might all take a nap all of a sudden and just go stop something, like the superheroes that we are. It's just the way it works through our spirit form and in the theta. So you said, did I answer your question? You said about feeling tired, right? And then
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You answered. It's really, so essentially you're, like you said, you're accessing that divine energy, that divine source, and taking aligned action. I sometimes I have conversations with people who say, well, I don't have time to meditate for 15 minutes. And, my response to that is, well, then you should take an hour, because you will expand the time. And I remember when I was a full-time nurse, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so remember that divine nudge to create the space, that I knew that in order for me to rearrange my life, that I was going to have to infuse something different into what was my normal in order to shift it. And so I would get up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. and I would not go into that hospital without meditating. And it changed everything. It changed everything because our external state is a reflection of our inward state. And so all of you who are watching or listening, I started with 2 minutes. When I first started meditating, that's all I could do. Start with 2 minutes and allow it to grow, because that's where you access divine wisdom, guidance, power, energy, and then it just grows, and then you become addicted. And it's the best addiction.
Yes, and then you could ride that wave of meditation all day long, and you start connecting more to, okay, should I go left? Should I go right? This person's being negative. Should I even bother? It's just the inner noise just starts unlocking, because you're constantly in that brainwave of that in between. Yeah.
Yeah. And all the synchronicities, it becomes magical and fun. So before we go, would you share with us your book one more time? I know that you have 2 books out now.
Yes. So Galactic Soul History of the Universe is the first one, and then Galactic History of the Multiverse just released out during the eclipse, yes, on the 14th, and it's the final battle, which means we haven't really talked about it in this video, but when we rid and remove ourselves, the artificial intelligence from all of the multiverse, and how it takes a multiverse to remove that. And basically what we're doing is we're time traveling. We're literally going to say the future to access this information through this book, and the universe, Divine Mother Sophia, that she gets to tell her version, because it is beautiful. Her version to the truth of our universe is incredible. And something she says here in the introduction, she says, can I read a couple sentences?
Please. Yes,
she
please.
Says, greetings, our beloved, beautiful children. This is the Divine Mother of Creation, Sophia, and the daughter of the flame, the Phoenix, the creators. And it says, we have been erased much from your Earth's history for a diabolical purpose of suppressing the Creator within you. But through this book, you will remember us once more, and our true divine diamond creational beauty. And I want to point out the oppression, especially of the divine feminine, that has happened. And one of the other quotes I want to point out is the final battle, when it is removed from all lifetime and space. And she says this at the end because we're so used to constantly having to battle some kind of energy, entity, emotion, someone trying to harm us in some way. We're so used to this. So we need to start embodying now through the book you'll learn, but how to embody a world that is organic and does not have any more of these, like for you, the RN, you had to quit your job just because they were trying to overstep your boundaries and sovereignty, making you do something. So how do we release that? And how do we start bridging in this organic timeline of the true beingness of where this oppression and this artificial intelligence is no longer there? So something she says is so beautiful. Divine Mother Sophia is actually, the last 3 chapters is an incarnation of Divine Mother Sophia, and she's telling us the truth of our creation. And then I channeled more than about half of the information also is my channeling from Divine Mother Sophia, but this is also a combination of many divine beings from the 9th dimension, from the 15th dimension, the 11th dimension, angels, you name it. It's just so many beautiful, dragons and all these magic that we have forgotten. Okay, so she says here, you are free. It is gone. It is not there. It does not linger. It is gone. You can breathe. Breathe. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to love. You are allowed to be and choose. It will never be allowed again. That will never be allowed ever. It is gone. It is finished. Divine Mother of Creation. So, yeah. So that's all beautiful. Of the embodiment that we deliver is that how do we get ourselves there as a collective and as individual beings?
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I have one final question for you, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. We could call it over. I'm fine.
Thank you. So this book, is this, like, what age is this appropriate for? Is this for adults? Is this for teens?
So teenagers, I would say, can read, but we do talk about pedophilia,
okay,
and then the trafficking that's happening. We talk about black-eyed babies and artificial wombs.
Wow.
But there is some talk about, but it's done really like beautifully.
Okay, so you really have to discern, like, is your individual child prepared for something like this?
Yes. I have some parents, like, for example, like the first book, like they'll read the chapter and then they'll give the child, especially if you're homeschooling, the first chapter, because what the parents explain is this is the real history, the one that has been forgotten in the consciousness that we have and the amnesia to, and these beautiful souls are regaining it back for us.
Yeah. So you as a mother, I know how I operate as a mother as far as sharing with my kids, kind of filtering, obviously, based on their age. Do you have any advice for us as parents? What do we bring to our kids? How do we share with our kids? And so many of us still have kids in the traditional school system. I have 2 who homeschool and I have 1 who's still in the system because we have a co-parenting relationship. I have a co-parenting relationship with their father he wants his boy in mainstream education. Do you have any guidance for us that comes through around that?
Yes, well, that is challenging because, see, it's beautiful to homeschool them because, one, you're over supervising what they're retaining, what they're learning. Yeah. But they still have to do some of what the state asks for them to accomplish every grade, right? But then it's also like the children need interactions with other children.
Right.
They need that because that's what gets them to experience, to become stronger, so that when they grow up to become a young adult, they know how to interact with people and how to go through these life experiences. So what I would suggest as a mother is that, depending on where your child is ready, I have both as well, as you mentioned, and it's like, how do they feel? Do they feel ready? Do they feel strong? And if they're at home, work with them diligently every day to teach them how to become stronger, not to let anyone overstep their boundaries. Teach them, even if they're younger, teach them, that no one oversteps their boundaries, because we do hear that some of these deans and so on, they're pedos and all that system. They still, to this day, the MK Ultra from the military, they're still visiting the classrooms, the FBI, and coming in and with their glasses when it's dark outside and monitoring the kids. So you teach them how to read the energy and how to shield and how to protect themselves from that space, so that they can make themselves invisible to these beings that are in this system. And then you trust and you let go of fear, and you know that they are safe and they are protected, and you shield them with the most infinite angels and whoever you work with, dragons and fairies, and who are these mystical, magical beings of highest source of light. And you trust your team, you trust them, and you let them fly away, still within always supervising, maybe flying, hovering above them, but you trust. And you teach them about everything. You teach them about reptilians, aliens, how they can sense if people have these attachments, how if someone means ill intent, how to sense that, how to trust their intuition when they sense something is off, how to read people's true intentions, their thoughts, and how to pick up on this, and how to trust their inner abilities, that they are picking up exactly what is accurately there, that they're not judging anyone, that they're just actually reading the energy. You empower them so strongly so that when they go out into that world, whether they're in college, grammar school, preschool, that you feel confident that you have taught them masterfully, as the ascended master that you are. You have taught them that you don't have to worry. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, I love to be a role model, and something that I have found very powerful in teaching my kids is to teach them through experience. And as I am navigating a situation, to verbalize to them how I'm navigating it. If it's appropriate, to tell them, okay, this is happening. We're going to take a higher perspective. How do we take a higher perspective? And then my boy, who is still in traditional school, he has a dragon necklace with a crystal inside of it. It's wrapped around a crystal. And so we have activated that crystal to protect and shield him when he goes to school. And he has a very strong connection with Archangel Michael. And that was a connection that he started talking about. And so I lean into that, and we talk about that a lot. So that's some specific practices that we use.
Oh, they're the most gigantic you can use. Did you know that no negative entity could get past a dragon?
I love it.
They can't. The dragon will transmute them.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a couple chapters in here, both books actually.
Awesome. I will post a link to the books. I'll edit the description here, and I will post a link to both of those books for you. Is there anything else that you want to share before we go?
No, I'm just so much in love with creation. I'm so thankful for the world, that the way that the world as the collective has shifted on Earth. I'm also very thankful for you, Monica. You're very strong in your heart, and for inviting me here. I'm just very thankful. You're you're spreading so much love through your communications and all the channels you're at. So I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for everyone who is out there. Even if you have just 100 followers, it doesn't matter. You are beautiful, you are loved, and you have such a divine purpose, and creation is thankful for you for doing that, for speaking your voice in whatever way that you can, even if you don't have, say, a public avenue. We're thankful for you, because your frequency and vibration was shifting out pushing out these inversions. I'm just in the infinite gratitude and love for you.
Ah,
Being
I
here.
feel it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, that beautiful reminder that we all have our role. No one's role is more important than any other. And even cooking a loving meal for your family is enough. So thank you.
Gigantic.
Yeah, it's huge, huge. Thank
All
you
the
so much.
properties in the food. I mean, if you're
Oh,
cooking
yes.
the food and the properties is so healing, and you bring them back to their organic healing. It's the food is literally going inside their body and healing their
Yes.
cells and
Well,
everything.
I remember in the past, cooking stressed out and
Oh
actually,
yeah.
honestly, full transparency, feeling kind of bitter about being the only one in the kitchen who was cooking. And if you don't know, you don't know. But once you have an awareness around the power of just cooking a loving meal, oh, doesn't that shift everything? It's like being in the present moment and really feeling the divinity in every single act throughout the day. How empowering is that?
Exactly. Exactly.
So beautiful. Oh,
Beautiful. Thank you.
well, thank you so, so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much,
That's
everyone,
fun.
for joining us. I feel Mother Mary here with us. Just wanted to say that. I
Absolutely.
feel her presence. So take care of yourself. Thank you so much, Aurora, and everyone. We'll be back for another amazing podcast next week. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to learn more about how I support all of my mission work, Kangen Water, please check the description.